Have you ever felt that someone who used to be so close is now slowly fading out of your life? No goodbye, no clear reason, just an empty space, silent, gradually growing cold, and you no longer know what to do with it. If you're a Gemini, maybe you're trying to make sense of it. But for the first time, your mind can't seem to find the answer, and your soul has started to wonder. Could this be a sign from the universe? Maybe this isn't the end, but a divine arrangement. Someone is being pulled out of your life so that something more aligned can step in. You are not being abandoned. You're being guided back to yourself, whole, authentic, and stronger than ever before. If this resonates with you, leave a comment. I am ready to receive my new destiny. And if you want to keep walking alongside messages meant just for Gemini, don't forget to like and follow the channel so you won't miss out. Now then, prepare yourself a warm cup of tea or your favorite coffee, because today's journey is not just about astrology. It's a personal calling from the universe, just for you. Part 1. The nameless emptiness and the signs that can't be explained. Have you ever felt like a relationship still exists, but the souls no longer connect? Gemini, you've always been perceptive. Even the smallest changes don't escape your notice. A text message that takes longer to reply. A look that no longer holds the comfort it once gave. A familiar phrase that now feels distant, as if the two of you are slowly speaking different languages. And you realize something is shifting, slowly, gently, but it can no longer be ignored. You try to make sense of it. Maybe they're just busy, or did you do something wrong? You start piecing together the little details, like a true Gemini, analyzing, rationalizing, decoding. But this time, all your logic leads to a void, an unnamed emptiness. And that's when you feel the most exhausted, because there is no reasonable explanation for this feeling, because some things can only be felt, not understood. And you, the one who thought you had learned not to care, still find yourself wounded by the silence of someone who once mattered so much. Maybe no one has said goodbye. There's been no official ending, but your soul knows, and it's scared. You'll start to doubt yourself. Am I just too sensitive? Am I imagining things? Is this just a temporary phase? But Gemini, allow yourself to trust that feeling, because some separations aren't marked by arguments, but by silence that stretches quietly, like a flame slowly dying without a sound. Your mind will want to find explanations, but your soul, your intelligent and sensitive soul, is whispering, there's no need for answers. You're being separated from what no longer belongs to you. You are not being abandoned. You're being held back, so you don't drift down a path that's no longer in harmony. The universe sees what you haven't dared to face. There are people who show up at the right time, but not to stay forever. They come to mirror a part of you, to help you see what needs healing. And when the lesson is complete, their soul, or yours, will choose a new direction. That's not a loss. That's completion. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to cling to something that's already slipping away, because if it's truly meant for you, it will stay, without you having to chase it. You deserve a connection that is clear, gentle, and whole, where you don't have to analyze every message, second-guess every glance, or try to interpret a silence that leaves your heart in chaos. Perhaps this is the beginning of a transformation within. You are no longer the version of Gemini who constantly questions yourself. You're beginning to trust your intuition, to trust the deep knowing inside you, even when there's no physical proof. And that is the first step towards spiritual maturity. You are learning to distinguish between losing and being set free. You are learning that you don't need anyone else to confirm the truth you've already felt in your heart. You are learning how to be silent, not to feel empty, but to listen. Maybe you're not ready to let go yet, but you are ready to stop resisting the truth. The emptiness you're feeling isn't the emptiness of sorrow, but the sacred space needed for what's right to arrive and fill it. Trust that. And if you've ever felt like your soul was being pulled away from someone in a way your mind couldn't explain, leave a comment. I am being held back to realign with my true frequency. And if you see yourself in these whispers, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next soul-deep messages from the universe. Now, make yourself a warm cup of tea, sit down gently, because your awakening journey is only just beginning, dear Gemini. Part 2. The universe doesn't want you to just be okay. It wants you to truly live. Gemini, maybe right now you're in a state of being okay. Not sad enough to fall apart, but not really happy either. You still go to work, still smile when needed, still post stories as usual. But deep down, you know a part of you is quietly fading. But you've gotten used to it. You've grown used to healing on your own. Used to playing the role of the strong one, the logical one, the one who accepts and keeps moving forward. It's just that sometimes, in a quiet moment, you suddenly feel breathless, as if you're living a life just enough to continue, but not enough to truly breathe. And that's exactly when the universe steps in. At this moment, Mercury, your ruling planet, is finishing its retrograde phase and preparing to move forward again, which means your mind is about to be freed from the loops of confusion, the thoughts that keep circling back. Everything you couldn't understand, couldn't express, couldn't name, will slowly become clear. But to let that light in, you need to make space. Uranus, the planet of awakening and change, is also sending you sudden nudges. It doesn't knock gently. It wakes you up through what feels like loss, separation, moments that leave you feeling disconnected. But beneath it all, it's the universe's deeply compassionate orchestration. Every separation right now is how the universe frees you from something that's limiting your true light. You're being untangled from connections that no longer match your frequency. It could be someone who makes you feel like you have to be careful expressing your emotions, a place where you constantly hold yourself back just to be accepted. An old habit, a loop you know is unhealthy, but you keep it simply because it's familiar. Gemini, you weren't born to just be okay. You were born to truly live. Not to walk through life as a soul trying to please everyone, but to shine as your full self, with all your contradictions, emotions, depth, intelligence, brilliance, and sensitivity unhidden. This moment is a reminder. You don't have to stay in a connection just because it's familiar. Take a moment to reflect. Are you holding on to something? Not because you still love it, but because you're afraid of losing a part of yourself that was once attached to it. Maybe you're holding on to a relationship out of fear of being alone, not because it still makes you happy. Maybe you're hesitating to walk away simply because you don't want to admit that you've changed, that you deserve more than this. But Gemini, change doesn't mean you're wrong. It only means you're growing. Some things leave not because you weren't good enough, but because you're becoming a bigger version of yourself. Don't see the cracks as failure. Don't see the leaving as the end. It's how the universe clears the way, clearing space so something better can arrive, clearing space so you can see who you truly are. when you no longer have to bend yourself to fit in. You might feel a little empty for a few days, but then you'll begin to feel it. The air becomes lighter. The repetitive thoughts in your head suddenly stop. You no longer need someone else to understand you, because you've begun to understand yourself more deeply. You'll slowly stop asking, "Why did they change?" And instead, you'll ask, "What is opening up for me?" That's when you'll know you're stepping into a new level of energy, a level where you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to be okay just to keep others calm. You don't need to smile when you're hurting. You just need to be honest with yourself. And if today you're standing in that space, between letting go and holding on, between logic and intuition, just be still. Don't rush to choose. Because if you're quiet enough, the answer will come. From the deepest part of you. Gemini, you are not being left behind. You are being held back. Just long enough to bring your true light with you before stepping into the next chapter. If you feel this in your heart, leave a comment. I wasn't born to just be okay. I was born to truly live. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and return whenever you need another message from the universe. You may not always feel ready, but if you're here, I know you're ready to live a little more honestly. Now, treat yourself to a quiet little corner. Make a cup of tea. Take a deep breath. This journey is yours. And you're not alone, dear Gemini. Part 3. The foretold separation. When your soul is growing, Gemini, sometimes a separation doesn't happen because someone did something wrong. It doesn't mean the love was fake. It arrives like a soft rhythm of destiny, unexpected, quiet, but deeply awakening. Maybe you never imagined that person would leave, or that there would come a distance between you two that couldn't be bridged. But then, one day, they began to fall silent. They replied less, stopped asking what you ate, if you slept well, or how you were feeling that day. They're still there, but no longer with you. And that's when your soul begins to feel cold. Not the kind of cold that comes from the weather, but a specific kind. As if a thread that once connected you is now slowly fading, disappearing without anyone needing to cut it, and you sense it, even before your mind can grasp what's happening. According to many ancient spiritual traditions, when someone's soul begins to evolve and grow, the universe starts clearing the space around them. Those who no longer resonate with your soul's frequency will quietly be moved away. Even the prophet Baba Vanga once said, "Some beautiful connections will end without warning, to open the door to a spiritual rebirth for the one who remains." So if this is happening to you, it's not a coincidence. Your soul is growing, Gemini. You're no longer aligned with what used to fascinate you. You're starting to crave a real connection, where you're understood, respected, and allowed to be yourself without needing to trim away pieces of who you are. That past relationship, it might have been beautiful, but it was only a stop along the journey, not the destination. That person isn't bad. You're not wrong. But your soul and theirs are now traveling on two different frequencies, like two kites, once soaring with the same wind, once chasing the same direction, dancing in the sunset and laughing under the skies of youth. But at some point, the wind shifts. Each kite is lifted by a different current. And you must choose, let go, or get tangled in a string that can no longer fly. Letting go of a connection doesn't mean you didn't love enough. It means you've grown enough to realize love alone is not enough. You need true companionship. You need to grow together. You need to respect each other's changes, instead of clinging to an outdated version of what once was. Maybe you once made vows to this person, that you'd walk together to the very end. But Gemini, the soul is a flowing current, never still. And sometimes, true love is letting each other move forward, even if no longer side by side. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't have to try to save a connection that's fading. Because the truth is, you don't need to work so hard to hold on to something. If it's truly yours, it will stay. And if it keeps slipping through your fingers, no matter how tightly you hold on, that's a sign. Not a sign to blame yourself, but a sign to acknowledge. Your soul is stepping into a new phase. A phase where you no longer just want to be loved, you want to be seen. Truly seen. And the person meant for you in this next chapter won't ask you to sacrifice your honesty, won't need you to pretend you're okay. They will love both the chaos and the light within you, and they won't walk away just because you're evolving. If you're in the midst of this transition between longing and maturity, take a deep breath. You're not alone. Many souls are going through this very shedding right now, just like you. And sometimes, a separation is the first sign that you're finally ready for a deeper, truer, brighter life. If you feel this truth in your heart, leave a comment. I accept the separation because my soul is growing. Tap like if you feel seen. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep walking this awakening path together. Now, give yourself permission to sit still. Sometimes, silence is the only thing that lets you hear your inner voice the clearest. Make yourself something warm to drink, and don't rush to heal. Let yourself touch the bottom, because from there, you will rise, whole and free. Part 4. Rebirth from Ruin. The doors are now opening. Gemini, after everything you've been through, from the unspoken silences, the unnamed distance, to the moment you had to admit that what once felt familiar no longer resonates, can you feel it? That deep inside your pain, something new is beginning to bloom. You may not have words for it yet, but deep down, you're starting to feel different, lighter, clearer, and strangely, more at peace, even though things may not yet feel completely stable. This isn't an ending, Gemini. It's a gateway, a new door, where you no longer have to strain to be loved, where you don't have to hold on to something just because you fear the feeling of losing it. And strangely enough, the moment you let go, the universe begins to send new signals, new opportunities. A job you never considered suddenly appears. A surprising invitation. A new path that feels unfamiliar, yet sparks something alive inside you. Or maybe, a stranger walks in and makes you realize there is a kind of connection that is gentle, respectful, and healing. None of that arrives when you're still holding on. They only appear when you're truly ready to leave the old, not just in body, but in energy and soul. That's why those losses had to happen. The universe never wants to take anything from you. But when you're holding on too tightly, you can't receive the next gift. And this time, the gift is your own compass, an inner wisdom, a new ability to clearly sense what is truly calling your soul, and what is just familiar comfort in disguise. You've spent so long just trying to be okay, but now, you're learning how to truly live, to live without denying your emotions, to live without needing someone to approve your choices, to live without constantly proving that you are worthy. Gemini, you don't need to be understood in order to be yourself. And for the first time in a long time, you have the chance to be fully you, without needing anyone's permission. Just think, if those heartbreaks hadn't happened, would you have found the courage to walk away? If that person hadn't changed, would you have looked inward? If everything had stayed fine, would you have heard the higher call of your soul? It's the breaking that became the foundation for your rebirth. And now, you are stepping into a new sky where you no longer live to please others, but to embody the truest light within you. That's the reason you were born. That's the pure self your soul has always been reaching toward. Don't worry if things still feel unclear. Let life guide you. Each day, just live one small truth from your heart, and the new door will open. Through a random conversation, a message you stumble upon, a spark of inspiration that leads to a path far greater than you expected. This transformation isn't loud. It's quiet, but profound. And Gemini, you don't have to become someone else to enter this next chapter. You just need to be you, the version of you that no longer lives in fear. If today you're still grieving what's been lost, wrap your arms around yourself and whisper, "I've come this far, and I deserve something more beautiful," because you truly do. Leave a comment. I'm ready to be reborn from what once broke me. This isn't just a message to the universe, it's a promise you're making to yourself. If this part of the journey touches you, tap like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue walking this path together. And now, give yourself a few quiet minutes. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine you're standing before a new door where light pours in from every direction. In that place, nothing old can hold you back anymore. Welcome home to the version of you that is free, clear, and more worthy than ever. Part 5. You won't go back because you've seen how radiant you truly are. Gemini, have you noticed something? You no longer wish they'd come back. You no longer dream of those unfinished conversations. You no longer wake up in the middle of the night asking that old question, did they ever truly care? You haven't forgotten them, but you no longer want to walk backward toward them, because now you've begun to see something even brighter than being loved. You've seen yourself no longer lost in the longing to be chosen by someone else. Not everyone has the courage to walk away from a connection where they once gave their whole heart. Not everyone dares to stay in the emptiness instead of settling for half-hearted love. But you did it not with brute force, but with the quiet light of a soul that is growing stronger each day. That heartbreak wasn't meaningless. It didn't come to break you down. It came to show you how long you've forgotten yourself. And the miracle is, in your greatest moment of loss, you finally touched the fullness that was always within. You started to see yourself with softer eyes. Instead of judging your feelings, you listened to them. Instead of reshaping yourself to fit someone else, you returned home to love even your most fragile parts. You no longer need anyone to stay in order to prove your worth, because your presence is already enough. You're gentle enough to hold yourself through the storm, strong enough to stand back up when no one's around, compassionate enough not to blame anyone, even if they left, and wise enough to understand. Some endings happen not because you failed, but because your soul needed to grow. The universe never separates you from anyone out of cruelty. It simply removes what no longer aligns to bring you back to yourself. And if you're reading these words today, then this is no longer a prophecy. It's a confirmation. You are exactly where you're meant to be. At the right time, on the right frequency, to begin a new chapter. A chapter where you no longer need permission to shine, where you no longer exist to fit in but to be free. The previous chapter taught you how to love, how to let go, and most of all, how to return home. And you know what? There is nothing more beautiful than a soul that once shattered, but still chooses to love life, with a heart more whole than ever before. You once believed you needed them to feel complete, but now you see You don't need anyone to fill the void, because you've become the light itself. Sure, there may still be moments of remembering. Old memories may float back, but this time, they don't hurt anymore. They only remind you that you once loved with everything you had. And because of that, you now deserve a love that's whole, true, and even more sacred. The path ahead may not be easy, but it will be true. It may not be smooth, but it will be radiant. Because you are no longer living to meet someone else's expectations. You are finally living as yourself. Gemini, you don't need to go back anymore. Because you've seen how brilliant you are when you stop dimming your light just to make someone else comfortable. Leave a comment. I've returned to myself. It's not a promise to anyone else. It's a vow to yourself. A Gemini who no longer waits to be chosen and is now choosing themselves. If this journey has touched your heart, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who may need this reminder. Because who knows, even a small message might become a wide open door for another soul. And now, take a deep breath, feel the lightness in your heart, and gently whisper to yourself, thank you for not giving up. Thank you for coming this far. Because you deserve love, you deserve light, and you deserve you. Gemini, if you've made it to the very end of this journey, perhaps you've already felt the most important truth. The universe has never abandoned you. The turbulence, the silence, the closed doors, they weren't meant to make you doubt your worth, but to gently remind you. You weren't born just to survive. You were born to truly live. Maybe, for a long time, you tried so hard to become who someone else wanted you to be. There were moments you believed, if I'm kind enough, strong enough, understanding enough, maybe they'll stay. But real love never asks you to abandon yourself. And someone's departure is sometimes the very first door that leads you home to your whole, soul-aligned self. The greatest lesson this video wishes to offer is this. Stop chasing what no longer belongs to you. Let go of what once felt like destiny, but now only holds you back. And don't be afraid to begin again if it brings you closer to your own light. Because every soul has its own journey. And your journey begins the moment you pause long enough to truly listen to yourself. If you've ever felt lost, if you've ever placed your heart in someone's hands and received only silence in return, then this is the message the universe wants you to hear. You were never abandoned. You were being held back just long enough to carry your true light with you. If this video touched something within you, feel free to share your heart in the comments, or simply write, I am ready to live as my true self. Let it be a gentle, powerful vow you make to yourself. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next soul message made especially for you. Thank you for staying until the very end. May you always have the clarity to let go and the courage to move forward. Until we meet again on the next journey, you deserve something even more beautiful than you ever imagined.